It's CSB TV's Rewind.
Welcome to another episode of CSBTV Rewind. On today's episode, we have Anne Maria Francis from The Artist Within, Robert Wagner from Musical Interludes, and Len Garza from The Gold Mine. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Artist Within. Anne Maria Francis is a self-taught artist from India. I had the opportunity to speak with her about her journey on finding the artist within. Let's listen to our conversation. When did you know you were an artist?
So it's quite interesting but quite boring. Usually every kids do have paints and crayons in their houses to scribble down. So I used to start from my childhood, but yet I started from when I was in 9th grade. I do had a crush on a boy. So obviously we all have done something to reach out of them. So I started to sketch a portrait for him, but it was not that similar to him. But yet I was like, okay, this is fine. So I can impress him with that sketch. So from that time I started my sketching and I reached here. So when I came to social media, I was guided by my elder sister, Srega Sudhir. She was quite very too much supporting to me, and she was the backbone. She made me to this social media platform, and I realized that there is so many things to explore in.
Talking with people with music in their genes, their blood, and in their soul. You are watching Musical Interlude. Hi, welcome to another episode of Musical Interlude. My name is Casey Bell, your host, and today's guest is Robert Wagner, a man who chose to follow his dream of songwriting and producing music. Let's take a listen at his story. All right, first question. When did you first discover your musical abilities?
Oh my. Well, it's I don't know about abilities, but just say love, from the time I was little, when my cousins and when we would play with the kids in our family, we always had these little children's turntables and all kinds of children's records and records that our parents used to listen to, scratchy things, and we just always were playing with music. And when my father was working on things, we would take boards and nails and rubber bands and try to make musical instruments. And adults would joke with us, "Oh, you need to get a recording contract." So, well, how do you do that? And we would copy the addresses off the little records and write letters to the record companies. Of course, we never got a reply, but always loved music. And my ninth birthday present was an acoustic guitar and a guitar lesson. And that night, my cousin and I made up a bunch of songs in my bedroom and performed them for our aunts and uncles. Uh, and then a few months later, my mother came into the guitar teacher that I, had an hour a week or a half hour a week lesson, and she came in and said, "Does Bobby have any talent?" And he said, "It's really not about talent, it's about hard work. But he does have a good sense of rhythm, which is something you can't teach. He has good rhythm and good timing. The rest of it is a question of hard work." Now, there are people that have so much musical ability they have more ability in their pinky finger than I will ever have. I'm a pretty good writer. There are people who can play as fluently as I can write. They have a vast musical vocabulary. As an instrumentalist, if an idea occurs to me, I have to figure it out and work it out and practice it. And I could practice it for 5 years and still potentially mess it up. There are people, like if you're a symphony musician, you don't make mistakes. You would lose your job if you made a mistake. Or James Brown apparently was really hard on his musicians. He demanded perfection. Perfection is something you'll never get from me as an instrumentalist. But but I have enough drive to, I think, compensate for whatever I might be lacking elsewhere.
So when did you decide to take this full on to actually make records and make music and to record?
Well,
What was the encouragement or the inspiration that caused you to do it? Because many people want to do it, but they never do it.
yeah, well, that's
So
well, for me, how negatives can turn into positives. Uh, I always wanted to play in a band. I mean, I always did, but never thought it was feasible. I can't sing that well. I can't play that well. It's what I want to do, but can't do that. But I knew I could be a writer. So I was lucky enough to be able to go to college. And when I was at the university, I was getting a lot of encouragement from my writing. Instantly writing people kind of recognized that I had something. But, deep down inside, I'm writing songs. You think these are poems. They're not poems. They're going to be songs someday. And then two things happened, maybe three, that kind of just worked together. One, punk rock happened. Punk rock was that back to the people, do it yourself. We're locked out. A lot like the origin of hip hop. We're locked out. We have to make something up for ourselves. We have to entertain ourselves with the resources at our disposal. And so that gave people like me license and potential venues wherever punk bands were playing. I was like, well, I could play there. And then I also was stricken with a rare form of cancer. And, I had a summer job delivering pizzas and kept on feeling like discomfort when I got in and out of the car, more or less estranged from my family. And a friend of one of my roommates said, better go to the emergency room. Went to the emergency room, and within 24 hours they're operating on me. And this is back before the days of cell phones and everything. So I'm on the hospital phone calling everybody I know, and nobody's home because everybody's in classes or working. Uh, and it just turned out that I was lucky. The doctors that I had were on the cutting edge of the research, and they knew of a experimental treatment that is now, state of the art. They had to get a permit to use it on me, and it worked. But still, there's that whole trauma of, oh no, I'm finally happy for the first time in my life, and now I might die. And me and the guy John Creighton, the guy that I started my first band with, we were, totally miserable, sitting in a place called the Squirrel Hill Cafe, and we looked at each other and said, we need to start a band. And that was that. And uh, so all we needed was the license to start, because once I was in, I'm a lifer. This is I'm an extremist. There's nothing that could make me quit. And when we're first playing with other bands, you're looking around. It's like, okay, that guy's going to be working for a bank in 3 years. That guy's going to be selling real estate in 3 years. Not but two or three of us are going to be doing this 40 years from now. And it's a little bit like, I don't know if you ever had the experience of going onto a playground and they're picking teams and you're not getting picked, but you're thinking to yourself, when I get my chance to play, you will all change your tune. And that's kind of a satisfying thing. Is the swift don't always win the race. Slow but sure, hang in there, refuse to quit. And and I do have some real talent. I can really write songs and put a band together. Uh, like the Three Little Pigs. If I have straw to work with, I'll make something cool out of straw. Give me sticks, I'll make some sticks. Give me bricks, and I'll make something. But I can make music with whatever I have at my disposal.
and we're back. Our next segment is my interview with Len Garza, an entrepreneur of the law. Let's take a listen at this interview. So were you raised in an entrepreneur environment?
No, I didn't come from a family of business owners per se. It's always something that stuck out and I was interested in the back of my mind. And there are certain times throughout my working history that it kind of came to the forefront. And most recently, at the end of last year, it was just the right time to make the move. Little did I know that a pandemic was coming up, so on paper it probably wasn't, probably didn't look as good as if you would have showed me that on paper that was coming. But this year has gone smashingly well, and I've been able to help a lot of my clients, and it's been very gratifying helping small businesses through these difficult and unprecedented times.
So then what would you say started to spark the idea of entrepreneurship, being that you didn't see your parents doing it?
Some of my friends had parents who were entrepreneurs. Some of them had siblings, reading about different entrepreneurs in the news, and it's an area that I've always been interested in. This idea of really, it really seemed something that was distinctly American, so to speak. Going off and charting your own course. Now, the key with that is always, well, what course? What are you going to do? That's crucially important. So the idea of being your own boss and going out and you always have others that you can lean on, and ideally mentors and other counselors and advisors, but really something where it being one's own business was something that sparked, I'd say maybe through high school and through college, but I really didn't have a way of making it happen. It seemed, I would even say it wasn't even a dream at that point. It was more, oh, that's an interesting way to live a life. But I didn't really consider it something that would be in my path until I really got out more in the working world and saw different types of entrepreneurs and seeing different ways that it could happen, different types of businesses. But even then, it didn't really ring and sing out to me that, look, this is what you're going to be doing eventually. But it became more of a fully formed thought that, well, if I can find the right business idea, and I can find the right support help and have the right knowledge, and it can be the right time, and all of these things come together, then maybe I'll do it. And what I learned very quickly is it's never the perfect time to go off on your own. There are always going to be challenges and always things that are going to be in the way, but that you have a plan for how to cope with those, and that you have it's a popular book out there, and it's a word I hear a lot now, especially this year, but if you have the grit and the mental fortitude and the passion and a lot of these things together, you can definitely make it work. And when you're able to make it work, it's extremely gratifying.
And that is all for this episode of CSB TV's Rewind. To watch full episodes of these CSB TV shows, click the links in the description.